Who is the Wicker Husband? Movie explained, warning, spoiler warning. Before we begin, this video contains trailer spoilers for Wicker and discusses details from Ursula Wills-Jones' original short story, The Wicker Husband, which inspired the film. If you're trying to understand who or what the mysterious Wicker Husband really is, this video will explain everything we know so far. With that said, let's get started. When the first trailer for Wicker was released, almost everyone had the same reaction. What exactly did I just watch? A lonely fisherwoman, a basket maker, a man made entirely of wicker, and somehow one of the year's most emotional love stories. The trailer immediately sparked one question above all others. Who is the Wicker Husband? Is he a scarecrow, a magical creature, a cursed human, or something much stranger? The answer is surprisingly beautiful and much deeper than it first appears. Let's break it all down. Who is the Wicker Husband? Despite his appearance, the Wicker Husband isn't simply a walking scarecrow, nor is he a monster created to terrorize the village. According to the original short story, the fisherwoman is completely alone. She's mocked by her neighbors, ignored by society, and constantly reminded that she'll never find love. Eventually, she decides to stop waiting for happiness. Instead, she asks the village's talented basket weaver to create the perfect husband. Not from flesh, not from stone, but from wicker. Branch by branch, straw by straw, the basket weaver carefully crafts a life-sized man. Then, something impossible happens. Some unexplained magic brings the wicker figure to life. He walks, he speaks, he thinks, he loves, and just like that, the impossible becomes real. Why is he made of wicker? At first glance, the wicker body simply looks like an unusual fantasy concept, but it carries much deeper meaning. Wicker is something woven together, individual pieces, carefully connected to create something stronger. That mirrors relationships themselves. Love isn't born perfect. It's built, slowly, patiently, one moment at a time. The Wicker Husband also represents another powerful idea. Instead of searching endlessly for the perfect partner, the fisherwoman literally creates one. It's a fantasy many people secretly understand. The desire to build someone who will never judge you, never abandon you, never betray you. But the film also asks an uncomfortable question. Can perfection truly exist? Or does trying to create the perfect person come with unexpected consequences? That's one of the story's central themes. Is the Wicker Husband really alive? Based on everything shown in the trailer, the answer appears to be yes. He's not being controlled like a puppet. He's not a lifeless statue. He has thoughts, emotions, personality. He laughs, speaks gently, forms genuine emotional connections with the fisherwoman. The trailer even suggests that he develops his own understanding of love and compassion. Exactly how he becomes alive, the movie intentionally refuses to explain. There are hints of magic, almost fairy tale-like forces, but the directors seem more interested in the emotional consequences than the mechanics of the miracle itself. Why does the village fear him? This is where the story becomes much darker. Imagine living your entire life believing only humans deserve love, only to discover your neighbor has married a man woven from branches. Naturally, fear spreads quickly. The villagers don't see romance, they see something unnatural, something that shouldn't exist. To them, the Wicker Husband challenges everything they've ever believed. He isn't human, he wasn't born, he was created. And somehow, he appears kinder, more loving, and more devoted than many of the actual people living in the village. That creates jealousy, suspicion, even hatred. The trailer makes it clear that the conflict isn't simply about magic. It's about society rejecting anything different. The Wicker Husband becomes an outsider, not because of what he does, but because of what he is. Who plays the Wicker Husband? One reason the character looks so convincing is because he isn't created entirely with CGI. The Wicker Husband is played by Alexander Skarsgård. For the role, he spent hours wearing an incredibly detailed full-body wicker suit. The costume was designed by the legendary Weta Workshop, the same acclaimed effects company known for its work on the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Rather than relying on computer-generated effects, the filmmakers wanted audiences to believe the character physically existed. That decision gives every movement, every expression, and every emotional scene a surprising sense of realism. According to Skarsgård, portraying such a purely kind and gentle character was unlike anything he'd played before, making the role both challenging and refreshing. Is the Wicker Husband the villain? When many people first watched the trailer, they assumed the answer was yes. After all, movies involving magical creations often end badly. But everything released so far suggests the opposite. The Wicker Husband appears gentle, patient, loving, almost innocent. Instead of threatening the fisherwoman, he seems completely devoted to her happiness. That shifts the story's conflict elsewhere. The true danger doesn't appear to come from the Wicker Husband. It comes from the people around him. Fear, prejudice, jealousy, and the inability to accept something they don't understand. In many ways, the villagers become the real source of conflict. The Wicker Husband simply exposes emotions that were already hiding beneath the surface. What does the Wicker Husband symbolize? Perhaps the most fascinating part of the story is that the Wicker Husband can be interpreted in several different ways. On one level, he's a magical fantasy romance, a lonely woman finally finding someone who truly loves her. But symbolically, he represents much more. He symbolizes hope, the hope that love can still exist even after years of rejection. He symbolizes acceptance because he never judges the fisherwoman for being different. He symbolizes transformation, not only because he comes to life, but because everyone around him is forced to confront their own fears. Some viewers may even interpret him as a reflection of unconditional love. Unlike ordinary relationships built around social expectations, the Wicker Husband loves simply because that's who he is. That innocence becomes both his greatest strength and the reason others fear him. How does the film expand the original story? Although the movie is based on Ursula Wills Jones' short story, it doesn't appear to be a page-for-page adaptation. The original story presents the central fairy tale premise. The film expands that idea into a much larger world. The trailer introduces more villagers, additional conflicts, new supporting characters, and a richer exploration of how one impossible relationship changes an entire community. Rather than focusing only on the romance, the film also explores themes of belonging, identity, and how societies react when something challenges long-held traditions. That's why many critics who saw the film early have described it as much more than a fantasy romance. It's also a social fable wrapped inside an unusual love story. Could the Wicker Husband be more human than everyone else? One of the biggest ironies hinted at by the trailer is that the only character who isn't actually human may end up behaving more humanely than anyone else. The villagers gossip, judge, exclude, and fear. The Wicker Husband simply loves. He doesn't seem motivated by status, power, or acceptance. His only concern appears to be making the fisherwoman happy. That creates an interesting reversal. The movie asks viewers a simple question: what truly makes someone human? Is it flesh and blood, or is it kindness, compassion, and the ability to love? The Wicker Husband may be made entirely of woven branches, but emotionally, he might become the most human character in the entire film. Final thoughts. So, who is the Wicker Husband? He's far more than a magical man made from wicker. He's the physical embodiment of hope, loneliness, acceptance, and unconditional love. Created by a lonely fisherwoman, brought to life through mysterious magic, and rejected by a fearful village, the Wicker Husband becomes the heart of a story that isn't really about fantasy at all. It's about what happens when love appears in a form the world refuses to understand. Whether he remains a magical fairy tale figure or something much darker as the story unfolds, remains one of the film's biggest mysteries. But one thing is already clear. The Wicker Husband isn't the monster. He may simply be the mirror that forces everyone else to reveal who they truly are. So, what do you think? Is the Wicker Husband really magical? Or do you believe the film is hiding a much deeper twist about his true nature? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more movie explained videos, ending breakdowns, hidden details, and fantasy deep dives.